Welcome, everyone, to Beyond the Case, a podcast where global leaders from Harvard Business School's OPM community join in a personal capacity and they share the life lessons, models that go behind building enduring companies. Today's guest is Sumit Sood. He's from OPM 67 from my cohort. Sumit, thanks for making the time. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Sohin, for having me. And great to see you, man.
Great to see you as well. Do you want to just introduce yourself and talk about what business you run? Introduce it for the listeners as well.
Sure. So I am running Mid Hills, which is basically a pine derivatives company. My father used to be a forest contractor. So he would have a lot of people going in the forest and extract resin from the pine trees. Me and my brother, we started this company 2010 and we set up a small distillation unit. I was still working as a software sales guy that time, but parallelly I started this business and we've been running this firm for the last 15 years. I left my software job in 2022 when I turned 40 and decided to get into this business full time. So as of now, I run Mid Hills, which is one of the largest pine derivatives company in India, and I am also part of a small startup. It's called Farm Easy, and essentially it's a platform which connects landowners to farmers to agri service providers. And the whole essence of that platform is to get more food on the table, to promote agriculture, new ways of doing agriculture. And one of the most important things which we are trying to achieve is trying to help absentee farmers, people like me. I have land back home in India, but I live in Dubai. So there's nobody to take care of my land. So, and there are a lot of people like me who have land but don't know what to do with the land. So essentially, this platform is trying to connect people and grow more food.
Great, very noble idea. Is that how you got the idea for this business through your own personal situation where you own land but you're not making use of it?
Yeah, exactly. So me and my ex-colleague in my software company. So we both were based in Dubai, and he comes from Kerala. I come from Himachal, and he had some land, and he was running a kayak school. So he was very passionate about kayaking and coffee. And I come from Himachal. I had some land. My father was doing a little bit of apple, kiwi, etc. But we had a lot of land. I bought as I started to make some money. I started to buy land back in and when you move to Dubai, typically you want to buy land in India for security, etc., etc. So I did the same, but then figured out I have nothing to do with that land. So the whole idea here was, why don't we come up with a platform?
Well, you started Mid Hills about 16 years ago, 15 or 16 years ago.
My brother, so I'll give you a little bit of background. So my brother joined the business in 2010 and he started the distillation unit. My father was already doing extraction from the pine trees and he was selling the produce to the local market. My brother completed engineering and then he moved and he set up the distillation unit. I was always involved, but not fully. I was like, I would encourage them. I would tell them, okay, guys, why don't we take the plunge and set up this? So we set up a small distillation unit and we were doing okay, but at a very small scale because both my brother and my father, they were, they were happy in their own little world. And whenever I would tell my parents or my mother that I want to come back, join the business, my mom would say, no, 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 you should stay out of this business because you will end up living in a well. So her analogy was that your father, your brother, they're living it like like a toad or a frog in a small well, and they keep on jumping in the small well. And because I've been always out from my house for the last 25 years. So go take exposure, meet people, do well in your job, etc., etc. And I did pretty well in my software career. So I used to run the sales for Advent, which is one of the largest fund accounting platform in the world. So I would run the Middle East and the India region for them. So, but in 2022, I turned 40 and I decided, let's take the plunge. It was very frightening for me, because salary is like an injection of whatever. drug you might want to call, and giving that up is difficult, and especially when you're doing okay. And at 40, I had a wife, I had kids, so it's a very difficult decision to make, but I took the plunge, and I am very happy. I should have done it before, but like they say, things happen when the time is right. So that's my story.
Are there any skills you developed as the sales leader which are coming in handy today now that you're an entrepreneur?
Exactly. That's a great question. And actually, the one lesson which I learned in my sales career was people buy from people. My boss always used to tell me, Sumit, people buy from people. And what is the consequence of no action? So, those are the two questions he said. Whenever you're going for a pitch, whenever you're going for a sale, you should have the answers for these two. And the third one, which also we learned in Harvard, is the hero. Like, who's your champion? So in our world, when you sell software, there has to be a champion, somebody who will look good in front of the peers or whoever will make the decision on the other side. So people buy from people is and it resonates me. It my father used to tell me, not directly but indirectly, like it's all relationship based. It's like once you once you have a rapport with someone, once you know the guy, his pain points, etc., it's much easier to sell or solve the issue at hand. And you're not selling just a software, you're selling a solution. So that was one of the learnings. The second learning was always find your champion in a organization. So when I joined my business, we were selling to small traders, small time traders within India, and we never thought of exporting anything outside of Himachal, because I come from a very, very small state and a very, very small place, and to set up a plant there and then try to export, it's it's unheard. So I joined, I started talking to people, I made a pitch book, a presentation. We never had all that tools at hand. So whatever I kind of used to do for my software selling, I would do the same. I applied the same principles for selling the chemicals. So when I left my company in 2022, the company was very good. SS&C admin. They said you can continue working for another 6 months. And being a sales guy also, they were like, okay, I left at a very good term. So in one hand, I would have some samples of my product when I used to go to Bahrain or Qatar or wherever, and I would have my demo and my software stuff with me. So that's how I started giving my samples, etc., to people and getting meetings. So, and now we are exporting to 20 plus countries. I am approved in all the major MNCs in India. So if you talk about Asian Paints, Pidilite, Berger, Nerolac, whatever, all these big companies, they're my customers. We are also, I've tied up with international players. So we are expanding our global reach. So all that is purely possible because I had a previous life. I was doing sales. So I've learned a lot during my 15 years of corporate career. And now we are trying to institutionalize that in our small family business. So I'll tell you, look, running a business, it's hard, but running a manufacturing business, that too in Himachal, that too in Solan, where logistics is a problem. I can't even get a big container or a big tanker to my factory because the roads are not so big. So, but we have to export, import, and do the kind of volume we are doing. It's tough. But what works for us is the story, because my story is very straightforward. First, my personal story of like my journey from Solar and then going out and then coming back. But the pine story, because my father started as a forest contractor. We had our own plantations, and then we started doing step one, step two, step three processing. So it's like the analogy which I like to give is we are in the milk business. So my father has some cows, and we had a little bit of land. We started growing grass or the food, and then we started making curd, flavored yogurt, ice cream, blah blah blah. So now our plant is fully integrated vertically, and as and when we see the demand, we add additional products because now we have the client base and we have the raw material. Am I making sense?
Yeah, you are. When you joined the business and you joined it full time much later than your father and your brother, Did you face any pushback in terms of the ideas you were bringing? Maybe feeling that you have a learning curve still to be completely integrated with your knowledge base of the practices that are currently going on at the business and the way you perceive the business as a so-called outsider back there?
A lot. I had a pretty tough time. I still have a pretty tough time because I used to sell. I'm a sales guy. I would sell without looking at the margin at because I no, let me just requalify my statement. So I would, because I knew that I have to build a long term brand, and I have to get associated with bigger companies. I would forego the margin but get a foot in the door. So I would go talk to a big MNC and I say, okay, I want to work with you. This is my story. This is a company, blah, blah, blah. And we are willing to support you with the pricing. And obviously companies would expect as an integrated manufacturer, better pricing, better quality from us. So I would go and make a deal. And then I would have to have a lot of criticism, a lot of resistance internally that the economics are not working out. You've managed to get this deal, okay, good, but this is not profitable because they were used to a certain way of doing business. They were used to a certain percentage and they were very happy. Now, in hindsight, now we this is our first crisis. When I'm in the business, my brother is in, and we're in this together. And the companies which we managed to crack in the first year are the same companies which are now buying at a better rate because those are the bigger organizations. They can absorb the shocks better than a smaller trader because all these smaller companies or smaller traders, with all the uncertainty, the rupee rising to, or the dollar rising to 98, 97 rupees now, there's a lot of commotion in the small time companies or traders, but the bigger companies are able to absorb the shock much better. Hence, we are able to sell more. Our production is not getting impacted at all at this stage. All actually, we are booked till October.
Good. Did you create any playbooks for sales to bigger companies, given your background in sales, or was it more so a gut feeling that you'd have when you'd lead a sales meeting?
No, I would. There's no gut feel like. Sorry, there is a gut feeling that okay, like look in my trade, what kind of worked for me is this is not a glamorous business. Not many people know about it. Not many people are excited. When I say people, the people of companies who are already in this business, even their children are not excited to join this business because it's first of all capital intensive. It's still very manual, and you have to deal with farmers. There is a lot of constraint because it's a natural product. You can't get in unlimited supply of the raw material, right? So what worked for us is we are the youngest in this trade in terms of, like, okay, I'm me and my brother, we are still young. Most of the other guys who've been in this trade, their children are doing AI or something else. They're not interested in this. So I would go into a meeting and I would definitely have a playbook in terms of not just the story that okay, we come from Himachal, etc., but we had systems in place. We as soon as I joined the company, we implemented an ERP. The first thing I said, guys, we'll have to move out of this tally system and get into a Microsoft or Oracle or like a proper ERP and give full traceability to our customers. So I'm not just selling the product because I can present or give a pitch, but the proof is in the pudding, like they say. So there's full traceability, there is consistent quality, there is punctual delivery. That's a mantra. So what we call is CQPQ, consistent quality, and delivery should be on punctual times.
So, with everything that was going on, how did you consider applying to the OPM program at Harvard?
I have a friend, and I think you already know him, Akshay.
Mhm.
And we are from the same town. We studied in the same school, and we have both. We like to discuss ideas. He's also very enterprising and obviously very hardworking. So I would go talk to him, and we would do lot of you know lot of discussions, etc. And we did this course, Rahul Jain,
Mhm.
right? And that too I did because he forced me to do. And then he told me about OPM. And I said, okay, why not give it a try? So that's how I applied for OPM.
What was one of the biggest takeaways from Unit 1 that we did together?
Yeah, there are so many takeaways, but one thing which I would like to highlight is is the diversity of the cohort, and the diverse stories which you hear, and you get to know the hard work and the effort people have put to reach to whatever level they are, and it's amazing, it's very inspiring, right? So, like, in our living group we had like 7 or 8 people, but to hear their stories and to it's very inspiring. So I think, look, Unit 1 was very new to me. I was enamored by the fact that I ended up in Harvard, and because it was always my dream to get into one of these Ivy League colleges and do something. But as and when every now we are part of so many OPM cohorts through WhatsApp, etc., and the network is amazing, man. I just played golf with one of the OPM 37 or 38 guys. He came from Nigeria, and we had a wonderful round of golf. So, it's the network, it's the stories which you hear, and it's very inspirational.
Right? If you had to start your corporate job again, would you do it, or would you plunge into entrepreneurship right away?
I'm not I won't be able to do it. It's tough.
Any advice you would give your children about business and life that you want to share?
Yeah, the only advice I can give, and I give them, is take risks. Take as much risk as possible. This, like, you have an option of doing something and failing, or you have an option of not doing something and not even know you might succeed in a particular thing. So it's better to take the shot, take the risk, try it, and learn from that experience.
Sumit, last question. Has there been any book which has influenced your mindset a lot that you want to just name?
I'm not a big reader, but the only book I can recommend is Siddhartha by Herman Hesse. It's not a business book. It's about life philosophy, that what is the purpose of us as human beings on the planet, and what are we trying to search, because we are all yearning for something, right? It's a rat race. All of us are trying to win that race, but what is the ultimate goal? What are we trying to do? I would definitely recommend that book. It's one of the best books to read.
Thank you, bro. Very nice book that you recommended, and thanks for making the time as well.
Thank you. It was a pleasure, man.
Yeah, be well.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.